Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our Monday evening get together. And when I say good evening to everyone, I suppose I also should say goodbye to Keir Starmer. So it's hello, goodbye. Because, of course, as we talk this evening, it looks like the noose is tightening around our beloved Prime Minister's neck. So at a time of us going live here, as far as I can see from my sources, 68 of his MPs have called on him to agree to putting in place a timetable for him to step down, basically, and someone else come in if they can find someone else. And that appears to be what is where we are. So if it's 68. Might be 69, could be 70 shortly. When it gets to 81, that's it. I reckon, that's a real issue for him because 81 is the number to trigger an election, a leadership challenge. So we will be interested to get to that point. I'm trying to see, Jed, where the comments are. I can't see something. Show comments on stage. Take that off. Right. I don't know what that's doing. Right. Okay. I'm pressing a button. Don't know what I'm doing. So there we go. So anyway, is anyone surprised Sir Keir is in trouble after that fantastic speech he made this morning? Did you see his speech? Oh my God. I listened to parts of it. But if you had insomnia, it'd be perfect. I would suggest you download a speech. Because it's the perfect solution if you're having trouble sleeping. Now, I watched a bit of it. I did watch a bit of it, and my God, it was. I get it. I take responsibility. I feel pain too. All the stuff. And then what's Sir Keir's solution to all the problems? We're going to talk about all the elections, by the way. We're going to talk about everything that happened last Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Going to go through all of that. But what was his solution anyway? Well, he's come up with two solutions, which made me laugh. First solution was he was bringing back Harriet Harman and Gordon Brown. Right. To what, there is no question to which the answer is Harriet Harman and Gordon Brown. So that was really spooky weird on Saturday when he did that. And then when things started to get even worse, he decided that the best thing to do was to have this emergency speech to the nation, to his own party, to whoever, to himself this morning, where he was going to lay out his vision. And his vision came down to three things. Number one, he thinks that what we need is to go faster and further. Mm-hmm. Second thing is he needs to ban people going to the Tommy Robinson rally this Saturday in London, United Kingdom. And by the way, if you're not going and you can go, please do go. Support that because Starmer doesn't want you. And then number three, he wants he announced the nationalisation of British Steel, which itself is really weird because if you go back to April of last year, British Steel, the government took the majority share in it. So I'm thinking, also, by the way, Harriet Harman as his advisor on women and girls, right, that he announced on Saturday, she was given that position a year ago, as far as I can understand. So I am completely at a loss as to what this guy's doing. He's announcing stuff and announcing it again, which is like very, very strange. And yeah, this is excellent. So obviously, I'm sure most of you are familiar with Hitler's final days in the bunker, final weeks even. But this takes a biscuit. So after his party was humiliated in England, Scotland, and Wales, his response is to come out and say, I want to be Prime Minister for 10 more years. Are you kidding me? It's such that some people have got a tin ear. This guy's got a tin ear. He doesn't understand that, hey, there's time for humility. It's good to have a little bit of humility. And if you have that, then there's a chance that people might forgive you a wee bit. But he's showing no humility at all. Absolutely zero humility. The other thing is, other big solution is we've got to go even deeper into the EU. Although some within his own party have said, well, maybe we don't. I'm not sure about that. So anyway, look, it's an omni shambles. As we are here live tonight, this is his moment of intense peril. It is said that tomorrow morning, members of his cabinet will call on him to resign. So this is all gonna wrap itself up, folks, really, really fast in the next 24 hours, I think. But certainly he is in extreme peril. And it is weird because if you think about it, it was only in July of 2024, it's not less than 2 years ago, that his party, Labour, won huge majority, and it was pretty. It was in fact huge victory for Labour, and that was the beginning of July 2024. I'm sure you remember. By the end of July and the Southport killings, his popularity plunged, because you will recall he went after all the patriots who weren't happy about the fact that little girls were being slaughtered, right? They weren't happy about that. And what was his response? Lock them up straight away, put them behind bars. Lucy Connolly was just one of them. So many people lost their liberty. And if you check back in terms of Starmer's sort of ratings, you will find that he fell off the cliff pretty quickly by the end of July in 2024. And that was unusual, because normally, they call it the honeymoon period, don't they? That period when a new government's been elected. They've not done much, so no one's that annoyed at them. But with Starmer, within 4 weeks, I remember it well. I remember, the mood of the nation seemed to go against him very, very quickly. Do you remember whenever him and Yvette Cooper rocked up to lay some flowers at Southport before heading off to the drinks reception? Do you remember that? So Labour won big in July 2024. And then that takes us to what's happened in the past couple of days. So we're going to talk about that now. So, the situation we have is that Labour got its ass handed to it, good and proper, on Thursday, when the British people, Scotland, Wales, and of course in England, all passed judgment on Keir Starmer, on our Keir. And it wasn't good, was it? It really wasn't good. So I didn't set up to watch the results. I caught them the following morning, and it was perfectly obvious on Friday morning that the polls actually had been right. Labour were despised, and that showed up across the board. Now, I'm going to talk about all the other parties as well. But I just want to start about talking about Labour. They lost 1,496 council seats in England. So just around 1,500. They lost those council seats in England. And then in Wales, in Wales, where they had been the governing party since the beginning of time, since the primordial soup, right? They plummeted in popularity in Wales. Were booted out of government. The best moment for me was whenever what's her name, Eluda or something weird, Morgan, the First Minister, the Labour First Minister, she lost her seat in Wales. Unheard of. It's the first time that's ever happened. That the head of an administration would lose their seat. She lost her seat. Now, she's a serial grifter. She's been in the House of Lords. She's been in Brussels. So I wouldn't cry too many tears for her, right? But she lost her seat in Wales. Applied to top the poll in Wales. Labour finished in a humble, I think, third or fourth. And then in Scotland, again, SNP, they didn't do that well, but they did better than Labour. Labour came co-second with Reform. So it doesn't matter how you look at this one. It doesn't matter. These are historically bad results for Labour. That's the point. And as I've been saying for about 8 months, if this goes pear-shaped, it's non-survivable. Starmer could not survive it. So that's what I was been saying anyway. You've seen the results. And, they are. They were every bit as bad as we said. And, lots and lots of Labour councils have been lost to Reform. Some have been, there's been a few lost to the Greens. We'll talk about the Greens, because the Greens is like, are they aliens? I'm now convinced the Green Party are actually aliens that live amongst us. Look, it's been a disaster. And the thing about it is that Starmer doesn't get, it's not been that people didn't vote them out because they didn't think that they were, like here's some of the results here. They didn't vote them out because he wasn't going fast enough. Voted them out because they hated them. But there's the thing. I mean, there's the summary that Jed stuck up on the screen, and you can see, one clear winner, which is absolutely Reform, as you can see there. I think actually I'm not sure, Jed, that actually was even the final thing. I think Reform came in at 1496. So yeah, whatever. But yeah, it's close enough. Look, I mean, it's the losses. Labour, put it like this, Reform won about 1,500 seats and Labour lost, about the same. It's tragic. Really, really, really bad. But, before I lose the train of thought on this one, I'll tell you who did really badly as well. And that is the Conservatives. Yeah. You see, the Conservatives also lost, but they didn't lose as much as Labour. But the thing about that is, it gets me. Hi, Northern Soul, by the way. What gets me is Northern Soul says Starmer's clinging on to his non-existent reputation for dear life. Let me be clear on this. I'm not stepping down. And you can see that the Tories lost. I mean, they're almost wiped out in Scotland and Wales. And along, Jed, I wonder what you reckon to this. I've got very annoyed at Kemi Badenoch because she's come along and she's saying this is the fight back. The Conservatives are on their way out. And they're not yet.
It's the way you tell them, David. It's the way you tell them. The fight back. You're having a joke, aren't you?
She said she said multiple times over the last couple of days that her plan is working. Only the Conservatives offer a real solution. And it's not been a bad set of results. So and you can see the numbers.
Look at the stats. All right. I know. You said that's not fully up to date. So look at the stats. Yep. So we've got Conservatives in the seats in English councils losing 563. In Scotland, they've lost 19. And in Wales, they've lost 22. So if that is a comeback, then Bolton Wanderers are going to be top of the league, top of the Premiership end of this season. And it's such a... Sorry, David, it's such a BS.
It is BS, yeah.
And they're all scrambling to try and get the Miles to steal them away from Reform. Now, as I've seen tonight, and I've been busy, but as I've seen tonight, the SNP, so we're looking at Scotland results there. So SNP have lost 6, Labour have lost 4, Tories have lost 19, Lib Dems, I thought, when we discussed it last week, we were talking about the Greens storming to a victory. I don't think they have overall.
No.
I think actually it's been about the sort of, all right, the numbers are telling a different story. But I would have, if I'd have thought about it a little bit clearer, I would have said the Lib Dems were going to pick up some seats. They have, again, not as many as I expected from them, but certainly not as many as I expected from the Greens, to be honest. And you look at the others, the independents, they've gone up as well, haven't they? Usually independents either stay the same or tend to drop a little. But this has been a kicking. And for Starmer, and I know you're going to go on to it, but for Starmer to almost carry on as if nothing's happened. You know, I heard, I think it was Harmon, one of them, on a GB show over the weekend. I saw the clip of it this morning. well, the Sunday politics type shows. And she was saying, yes, we've heard the public. They want us to go harder and faster type thing. And I'm thinking, no, they're literally saying the opposite.
I know.
And you're so tone deaf.
Yeah.
You think, no, they voted for us in 2019 with a massive majority, or not 2019, but 2020, 2024.
24. Yeah.
24. It's been less than 2 years.
And the
whole shebang. And the reason is, the problem with the Labour Party is socialism. Socialism doesn't work.
Yeah.
It's never worked. Yeah.
No, that's right. Yeah.
I just find it absolutely mind-boggling how they can sit on these politics shows on a Sunday and say, yeah, well, we've heard the public and this is what they want us to do. And that's where things like Gordon Brown is coming. Nobody wants Gordon Brown. They'd rather metaphorically beat him with a 10-foot bash ball. Yeah.
But the thing is, like, at no point yet in this period has anyone been thinking, yeah, we need more. We need Gordon Brown back. We need Harriet Harman back. No, I mean, I can't conceive of the whatever has been going on in Keir Starmer's mind that makes him think by bringing these two people back. And I've written about it, by the way, folks. If you Harriet Hyman, if you check out my Substack, I've written a piece on I think it's Labour's pie problem. Go and have a read about that one.
Pie problem. I haven't had a chance to read anything today, David.
Well, see, Jed, back. I know you weren't even born in the 70s, right? But
what?
Back in the 70s, there was this.
You'll go a long way, David, if you keep saying that.
Back in the 70s, Harriet Harman worked. She had a legal role for the National Council for Civil Liberties, which is now just called Liberty. But get this. That was when the paedophile information exchange PI was allowed to be associated with them. So I'm not thinking, after all the Peter Mandelson, Jeffrey Epstein stuff, I wouldn't have thought, and I call me old-fashioned, but I would have thought...
David, you're old-fashioned.
Stormer wants to maybe keep away from the paedophile angle, but no, Harriet goes in. So Jed, you're right. It's the whole thing is so dysfunctional. It's been remarkable to see it. So nothing to do with Lammy. Well, of course, maybe Lammy will be our next prime minister, because we'll talk about that. Because the one thing that's clear, Jed, absolutely clear, Stormer is toast. And whether it's today, tomorrow, next week, he is not going to be leading his party in 10 years' time. Strange thing to say, by the way. If you remember, towards the end of Boris Johnson's time in Downing Street, if you remember, he talked about being in power for two more terms. It's like, they're so besieged and they're so detached that this is what they say. It's remarkable.
Yeah, I think they're reaching into a drawer, aren't they, of phrases. It's like a book of catchphrases. Yeah, and they're just ripping them out and putting them out to sound bites.
It is, but as you said yourself, and you're quite right, like, people are sick of Labour and the things that they've been doing, and they don't want more of it or faster. They don't want that. But that's what Stormer's serving up. So, I mean, honestly, as I say, I will talk more about him. But back into the elections, Jed, I would say that, undoubtedly Labour's the biggest losers. Good. And the biggest winners.
I'll bring that back up while we're talking, David.
Yeah, and the biggest winners. I mean, only you have to be a curmudgeon to say that Reform did anything other than really well. Fantastic results in England, really good results in Scotland, which is hard territory in Scotland, and then again a very decent result in Wales. So I know, Jed, we've talked about Reform a lot. And I mean, I still have my queries, by the way, but they did really well. And you have to give congratulations, I believe, to Nigel Farage and his team, because fighting elections is hard if you're the new party coming up. Believe you me, I've been there. It's really hard, and they've done really well. So, were you surprised, or what's your take on how Reform did in the England, Scotland, and Wales?
Actually, I thought they did really well. Bear in mind this is probably the very first test at a country level, really. I know it's not a general election, but this is the biggest thing to a general election.
It is, yeah.
And I think this shows the sentiment of the British public. We've had enough. And I think it's not just we've had enough of Labour. I think what we've had enough of is the two-party politics that me and you have spoke about, the Uni Party.
Uni Party, yeah.
It doesn't matter whether it's red or blue, because the policies are the same. The difference between red and blue is the speed of which they implement the same policies. Labour are going full steam ahead. No, they can't use steam, can they? Because they use coal for steam.
No, full electric ahead.
They're going full electric ahead, full solar power and wind to drive that train down that track. And I think that looking at those numbers now, if you look at the traditional parties that tend, now let's just bear this in mind. These are local elections. Lib Dems, and I've even had this discussion elsewhere, but Lib Dems do well in local elections because they are good at local things, making sure your streets are clean, de-weeded and whatever, right? Graffiti off walls and all that sort of stuff. They're good at that. They're good at the local stuff. But it's when they get to the national stuff where the leader is absolutely potty, the policies are absolutely bizarre, but they are still hard left policies. They're still woke agenda. They're still, trans this and trans that, and diversity is our greatest strength. So they are still part of that uni party, even though they're not red and blue. The Greens haven't really mentioned anything about green. They've talked about Gaza and Palestine. What's that got to do with whether my bins are emptied or my street lights work or my potholes are filled in? Yeah.
Well, Jed, to your point. Well, but to your point, that the Lib Dems have done okay in the council elections in England. But if you look on the screen there, they only got one seat in Wales, and they only got 10 seats in Scotland. So it proves your point that nationally, actually, they did not have good election results.
No.
Although I saw Ed Davey, absolute clown, saying that again. They all said the same thing. This has been a tremendous set of results, and it shows that the Lib Dems are the real opposition. I mean, but the Lib Dems are kind of irrelevant. Greens, the Greens are something else. So I don't know if you saw. I mean, in Scotland, again, I may have written about this on Substack. I can't remember. I put out so much stuff today. But they've got Scotland has now got its two first trans MSPs. First two trans. They're such, I mean, I hardly know what to say about them, not to offend people, but let's just put it like this. One of them actually won. This is fantastic irony. One of their trans people won a seat in Glasgow that was Nicola Sturgeon's.
Oh, right? Awesome.
So Sturgeon's seat went, Jed, to a trans Green.
You couldn't have asked for more, really, could you, David? Yeah, but hang on. So what toilets are they going to use? What prison will they go in?
Well, Northern Soul says they all wear skirts up there anyway. Well, they may do, but I mean, have you? Well, the other thing is that the other trans SNP person, Green. The other trans Green won in Edinburgh. So, if there's Edinburgh with Edinburgh South trans representative now, Glasgow Central trans representative now by the Greens. And
I get that. But the thing that always gets me with the SNP is the country's falling apart in Scotland.
Yep.
They've got no money. They're broke. If it weren't for England and the Barney formula, they'd be done. And they go, oh, but what about the oil? What about the oil? No, you'd be done. Yeah. Yep. Yet they still vote for the SNP. 58 seats. All right. It's down by 6. but 58 seats. But that's then 58 of those MPs sat in Parliament in Westminster.
Well, I mean,
How does
I don't
that
know
work?
why. The good news about the SNP was the number of seats fell back. They lost about 6 seats, I think. The number of people voting for them. Now the Scottish system, Jed, they've got the
I've seen that on your timeline. You keep talking, dude. I'll find it.
Yeah, and they have gone back substantially in terms of the number of Scottish people voting for them. So it is your point, Jed. Unfortunately, there's too many Scots vote for them. But it's worth pointing out that the number of voters voting for the SNP has dramatically fallen back. They're still the biggest party, I get that. But, you know, I've heard, what's his name? John Swinney saying that this is proof that Scotland needs, the Scottish people want an independence referendum. They don't. I mean, again, Jed, it's this whole, you know, if your vote goes back and you lose representatives in the Scottish Parliament, you cannot conceivably say, yes, this is a great victory. You can't do that. But he did. He did do that.
And they do. And that's the problem, isn't it? They do. Because they try and baffle those people that tune in at 6 o'clock. Tea on the lap, you know, just up the person I'm talking. They try and baffle them because they're watching the BBC News and they're in Scotland and Lunatic gets on and says, oh, you know, we did this. But let's look at what Labour did in 2024. Labour didn't win. The other party, Uni Party, lost.
Yeah.
If you think about the votes, the total number of votes, we're literally talking about not Labour winning because he got, what, 34%.
But yeah.
In fact, no, the vote was 34% of the electorate, of which they won a percentage of that. Yeah. So the point is, we're now having elections where governments are being elected with less than 50% of the people even voting. Yeah, you know, a third of the people voting.
Yeah.
And then out of that, they're winning the biggest proportion of it. But every vote over the last, since Johnson, in fact, before that, so 2019, 2024, and maybe even before 2019, we've seen the overall share of votes fall. And they're falling because the public are just literally fed up with voting for what they want for. And I think the catalyst was the referendum. People voted for what they wanted, and they'd spent, what was it, 3 years, 6 years, whatever it was, I can't even remember now, were the people that we instructed to do something for us did everything they possibly could to ignore us. And that is what the overriding problem is now with Starmer in this local election. He's ignoring what the public are telling him and steaming on, well, they can't steam on, but electric motoring on to where he thinks the people, I don't know who's feeding him this information. He just needs to walk outside the door of number 10 and listen to the people in the street, but they don't.
No. It is honestly, Jed, it's last days in the bunker. It is, you know, and as I say,
we talk about last days of Rome, don't we? Constantly.
Same thing. Yeah.
This is what it is. Yeah.
It is that.
It's by Führer. Yeah. We're winning. As the American and British troops come through the door.
That's right. Yeah. And you know, it is very much that. And that's where, you know, this delusionalism has been extraordinary. And today, I mean, this big reset, Stormer's big reset speech, as I say, it was an atrocious speech. It was so boring, and he doesn't have personality. But I mean, he turned up. Actually, I don't know if you saw it yet, but he turned up. He wasn't wearing a suit. He just had a white shirt on because he's.
I'm looking for his speech now, David.
Sleeves rolled. He was getting down to work, delivering for the people. Sleeves, you know, nothing too formal for all.
Oh, well, that's it. You see, because that's it. He's down with the working class, but they're anything but. I mean, is that the image originally?
Well,
or did he have his jacket off?
I know the jacket was taken off, but I mean,
right,
that was Saturday. But you know, today it was the same kind of. Honestly, if you check, you know, it was just an embarrassing speech. But the point about it is that it's not going to save him. It will not save him,
No.
which raises the really interesting question.
Oh, here we go. I'll bring it up. I'll leave it on no volume. Because he wants to be down with the worker.
Yeah, look at that. He doesn't even have a tie, Jed. He understands you working men. He understands you.
Well, you see, if he understood him, you know what he'd have on? He'd have a polo shirt with some branding of some business that they work for.
Oh, yeah.
Or he'd have a boiler suit on, or a jumpsuit, and some PPE. Yeah, if he hasn't got a clue.
But Jed,
he really hasn't got a clue. And he literally is. He's not even surrounded himself now with people who agree with him, because they're all not agreeing with him more and more and more, and the snowball will keep going.
Well, actually, from tea time tonight, 3 parliamentary private secretaries of ministers have resigned. So, you know, the house is falling down around him. And like there he's saying, if you see Jed on the screen, he says, like every government, we've made mistakes. Well, what were your mistakes? Well, I'll give you, your mistakes were you behaved abominably over Southport. You took away pensioners' winter fuel allowance in that first autumn of 2024. You also put up NIC and small business. I mean, he's got the nerve to say that we're on the side of small business, Jed. And you know this better than anyone. Labour is the exact it's the exact opposite. It's inversion. They're not on the side of small business. And he's not. He doesn't even know what it is that...
he doesn't know what a small business is.
No, he doesn't. No, that's right.
Because if he was for the working class, then energy prices wouldn't be where they are. He wouldn't be raising taxes. He wouldn't be raising inheritance tax. He wouldn't be raising corporation tax. He wouldn't be raising business rates. He wouldn't be raising car tax. He wouldn't be raising fuel duty. He wouldn't. You see, I could go on, and that's just some off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Jed, he doesn't get it, and government doesn't get it, because socialists just think the money that you earn, that I earn, that all the hard people around here earn, is their money to spend. They would rather you turned over your paycheck on a Sunday, on a end of the month. Why say a Sunday then? I don't know. End of the month and said, there's my paycheck, it's all yours. Now can I have some back, please? Please, sir, can I have some more? That's what socialism wants to do. Okay.
Well, I'll tell you what, Scotland's going to get a dose of that, because I also saw today that the SNP, because they've failed to get a majority, they're going to have to do some sort of deal with the Greens, right? And the Greens
don't want to work with the reform.
He won't even talk to reform. Disgraceful.
But this is an issue, though, David. Because we're going to get this in the national elections, because there's going to be a national election. And I said it would be this year. It's probably going to be next year, right? So if you remember, we were discussing this last year, and I said to you, there will be a general election this year, all right? And it looks like we're getting close to one, okay? So even if reform get there, or it's a hung parliament, all the other parties will gang up against reform and do that, and you'll win that for one election cycle. But wait till the next time you ask the public, and they will hammer you to the floor for doing that.
Well, I think you're probably actually underestimating reform a bit, because a poll came out yesterday or the day before showing, Jed, if you took the sort of swings that we saw on Thursday, right, and you made it a general election, what would happen is reform would get the greatest number of seats with about 286 seats, round about that. Yeah. Now, that's not enough for it to be, you have to get 326. But the point about it is they would get 286 odd. Labour would be down on about 100. The Tories would be on about 90. Lib Dems would be about 80. So even if you add, Jed, the sheer horror of Labour, Lib Dems, Greens, SNP all together, they still don't come to reform would still be the biggest party, and it would be very hard in British politics to say, yeah, well, you might be the biggest party, but you can't govern. So I think, take your point, and we've talked about.
So to get a majority, they have to have what, 321?
326.
326, right.
Yeah.
So if they haven't got 326, then all the other parties must weigh up to more than 326.
Yeah, but there'd be like I can't see.
But then
90...
we've then got Sinn Féin and people like that who don't vote and don't come.
Well, yeah, but I think that reform still stand a really good chance. But it's still. I mean, lots of things can change. Obviously.
But even in Scotland, I'm saying we're not going to work with reform. That will backfire.
Oh yes, I agree. Yeah, you're right.
That is taking the democratic process and using what they will call is the democratic process to keep out people that they don't like.
That's right. Isn't it? You're right. Yeah.
So it proves, first of all, the democratic process isn't as democratic as it should be.
No, it's not. No. Big problems with it.
And therefore, to solve this issue, we would need a law to say, if it's a hung parliament, and let's say, let's just keep figures simple. You need 200 to be a majority, and you've got 150. And the next highest party has got 140. You must go and join forces with the next highest party. That will stop this gerrymandering of the democratic process by all the left-wing parties that hate a right-wing party.
Yeah, well, that determination by John Swinney to invite everyone in to talk apart from reform was disgraceful. But it's interesting because also the Conservatives who he invited in said, no thanks. So they didn't go in to see him. But, and we're going to see all kinds of shenanigans in Wales as well, because again, and this is, again, Jed, a point that we have talked about over quite a long time. In Wales, although reform did really well, they're not even going to be the opposition because you don't have an opposition in the Welsh Senate. So you're going to have a plaid minority government, which will put pieces of legislation through the Welsh Parliament, and it'll rely on the Greens probably or Labour to enable that to go through. So in a sense, reform will just have to sit there and suck it up, and they can complain. But that, but again, I think even that's maybe not going to be a bad thing, because it'll just get so many more people annoyed that the next time,
this is what I mean.
That's what you're going to, So it's probably going to be an election cycle, I think, to sort of flush out the likes of Plaid and the Greens and Labour. But I think Labour's been flushed out this time. Do you not agree?
I do.
There's nothing good in it for them, Jeff.
Your opening statement was about how long Labour has been in charge in Wales. It's been over 100 years.
100 years. Yeah. That's as old as me. I remember it well, Jed. I remember that first Labour Welsh. In fact, actually, here's the thing. Again, I somewhere today, I think I wrote this. Did you know that the Labour Party was started by Keir Hardie? And that's whom I believe Keir Starmer was named after. So Keir Hardie started, he's a Scottish trade unionist. He started the Labour Party. And I put it to you, Jed, that Keir Starmer is buried the Labour Party, because I don't see any way back.
I think, do you know what I really do think? I think what's buried the political system we have now is this shenanigans over the EU referendum.
Well, yeah.
I think that showed the contempt that the 656
they have for
parliamentarians have for the British public. The British public sent a clear message. And since then, you look at the politics. Since I never looked at politics until we came up to the referendum. And then I picked my side, so to speak. Okay. And I was out on the street giving leaflets. I was being spat at by people. The second night I was doing, because we had Vote Leave and then we had the UKIP version, didn't we? And whatever.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I didn't care. I give out leaflets for Vote Leave. I give out leaflets for Farage's lot. And I was stood in my town giving out some leaflets one morning, and I was discussing it with somebody, and they're going, "Oh yeah, all right, I want to see that." And then literally just shifted my weight from one foot to the other, which meant they saw the UKIP flag behind me. And then they instantly called me a racist and walked off.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the point is, from that day, I think the British people went, we voted, and you literally treat us like scum.
Which is
and look
which
at the
is
state of politics since then. It's literally imploded on itself, hasn't it?
But this is where I think reform has really, scored, because they have obviously, drilled into that sense of resentment and disgust that millions of Brits have, millions of, I mean, and so even though there are imperfections with reform, people are basically saying, I think, Jed, well, we'll go where, the only way to give the others a really good kicking is to vote reform. And then if reform do a good job, which I'm sure they will, I don't see why they wouldn't, then they'll do even more. The one thing I would say is just, I've been very generous in my comments about reform, and I think reform deserve it. The only place where reform didn't do well was Great Yarmouth. And in Great Yarmouth, they all lost, all their candidates lost. And they lost to Rupert Lowe's Restore Britain candidates, who were standing as Great Yarmouth first. Now, you can read different things into that. You could say, well, Nigel Farage, by the way, had predicted that they'd get about 1% of the vote in Great Yarmouth. They got 46% of the vote. Whether that could be replicated, I don't know. Rupert Lowe is obviously well known in Great Yarmouth, Jed. Can you replicate that model? I'm not sure that you can. I really don't know.
No.
But I thought it was interesting. That was one place. And I think here's the deal. And I think we can maybe even agree on this. Whether it's reform or whether it's restore or whatever, it doesn't matter. In that way, it doesn't matter. People are sick of it. Do you know what I mean? And they're going to say, who's going to give me the hardest recipe? And I'm going to vote for them. And I think that's what they did.
Yeah. And as I said, again, last year when reform was beginning to kick off, and I actually paid my membership. Yeah, I actually paid a membership, and I've never paid a membership to anything. I'm a sort of guy that likes that price that's called free. I know. Yeah, and you know me, all the software stuff and things I've done for you, it's always free. Don't pay for it. Let's see what we can do free. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. But I just think that on the right, we're good at pulling ourselves apart. We're on the left. Look how the left are now coalescing in Scotland to keep reform out. Look how they'll coalesce in Wales to keep reform out. Look how in the general election in the UK, they'll coalesce to keep reform out. Yeah. And what we need, I've always said since last year, reform are not the final answer.
No.
But what they are is an answer to the issues we have right now with the Uni Party.
Well, the thing is, Nigel Farage has made them very professional, and the communications are brilliant, generally speaking. And as you say, there is an old expression, for want of getting perfection, don't walk away from doing good. So sometimes, you have to do something, and it's maybe not the bestest thing, but it's still a damn sight better than doing nothing. You know what I mean? And that's where we are, I think, today. I see Angela's comment that Rupert Lowe was Nigel's biggest mistake. I agree. I think actually
he could, yeah.
She's right. And by the way, and so was Ben Habib. If those guys were all together, it would be even better. But this is the whole thing. That would be maybe perfection, and we're not going to get that. But, here's a question for you, Jed. So, because we're in the last 15 minutes here. So,
wow, it's gone that quick. Wow.
We haven't really got started. But anyway, here's the thing, right? So, two questions. Who would you like to see become the next Labour leader? And who do you think will become the new Labour leader? Because not the same.
Wow. I think they've got to do a miracle for Andy Burnham.
Yeah. But yeah, to
be honest, it's got to be a miracle for him. So if they can do the miracle, I think it will be him. So I think that answers one of your questions.
Yeah.
I don't think they could do the miracle now because of what they did to him. And therefore, I think it might be Streeting. Yeah.
West Streeting.
Yeah.
Yeah. See,
actually, he's just as wet as Starmer is, and that's a good thing. I think actually reform. If Andy Burnham got in, I think it would be awful, but he wouldn't be as awful as any of the other candidates. The worst one to get in would be your lovesick.
my dream,
Angela
my
Rayner.
girl.
Yeah, Angela Rayner.
Yeah.
The ginger minger, but because I think she's just absolutely lunatic. But the thing is, the problem with her, she still hasn't paid a tax bill.
No, but see, Jed, whatever way you cut this, it's bad. Let me just focus. You meant talking about Andy Burnham. So there seems to be a concession that Andy Burnham would be maybe the optimal candidate. But for him to become a candidate, he has to win a seat. Now, if you look at Manchester, where he obviously is the mayor of Manchester, Manchester turned Reform. Reform did superb in Manchester. So, Jed, there's no guarantee that he would even win such a seat. But think about this as a double whammy. Some Labour MP in Manchester steps down, and Burnham, has a run. He loses the seat, and Reform claim the mayorship.
Yeah.
So like that's high risk. Do you not think?
I do. I mean, look what happened last time.
Yeah. So I think
the Labour MP gave up a seat, and then they said he couldn't stand.
Well, also another Labour MP, Clive Lewis, he said today that he would give his seat up, and he's in the comments. He would give his seat up for Andy Burnham. But then I've heard people saying, he's over in Norfolk. Now, I don't know what your views on Norfolk are, and Norfolk people.
The only thing I know about Norfolk is Norfolk Knights. Obviously, do you know? Do they know in the comments?
It was that was a band, wasn't it?
No. Come on in the comments, guys. Norfolk Knights radio station by Mr.
Alan Partridge.
Partridge.
Yeah. Well, apparently Norfolk itself and Norwich is very woke. So if he stood down in Norwich to give,
no, it's not. Is it not? I might have got that wrong. Go on then.
Green. What do you call it? The Greens would likely win the seat. So the more I look at this, I don't see how Andy Burnham gets into the comments. I just don't see it. And what today has been all about, this whole Catherine West is a stalking horse, that's all about trying to drag it out to September so that by September, party conference, the new Labour leader is in place. And that's all about, well, we'll get Andy in by then. But yet, I don't think they will. And the people in Manchester as well seem to have gone. Here he is, yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm playing North Sound, but it is Norfolk Nights.
Yeah. I'm competing with Alan Partridge. That's a challenge. But
David, you crack on, buddy.
Yeah. So I don't know that Burnham can actually get back in. And then you mentioned Angela Rayner, Jed. And she's the other one that's been talked about. But as you say, she's got an HMRC issue, and that's going to stop her. So she spoke.
So let's look at this, David. Let's look at this. So she needs to find, what was it, £40,000 or whatever it was for tax.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
let's say Starmer falls in the next 24, 36 hours.
Yeah.
Was Sunday some beneficiary that might have bought her a house somewhere or paid some other things for her come forward, or the guy that seems to have bought the whole Labour Party's wardrobe? Remember when
Lord Ali
might step forward and pay that bill for her. So then is she a bought woman? Politician. Well, most of them are bought anyway, but you know what I mean.
She came out at this trade union conference just after Keir Starmer gave his speech. She gave a speech at a different location, and she's talked about how it was disgraceful that Andy Burnham hadn't been allowed to stand. So I think she's tacked her hopes to an Andy Burnham leadership, so that she
then get a position off him if he gets
maybe Deputy Prime Minister again.
Yeah.
So she's doing that. But meanwhile, but again, I don't know that the situation can sustain itself that long. Wes Streeting, who is I mean, he's like Stormer light. He's like maybe not just as hateful. Maybe not. I don't know. Yes, the Northern Soulism says, I hear Wes was good friends with Mandy. I'd heard the same rumor.
And it's not the song Mandy by Barry Manilow.
No, it's definitely not.
No.
No, that was a good song, which was originally called Brandy and then rewritten as Mandy. Wes Streeting, I think, is what you're going to see in the next 24 hours. Apparently, some of the people putting in the calls for Stormer to resign are apparently from the Streeting, have been given the green light from the Streeting camp. And then, Jed, you love this one as well. It's also being suggested. Hi there, Daniel, aka John. Good to see you. It's also been suggested since tea time, right? Get this: the number 10 staff are phoning around MPs, senior MPs, asking them would they offer public reassurances of their support to the Stormer Führer, Stormer himself. So they're begging MPs. How pathetic is that? How grim.
Well, look, the rot is set when, as a prime minister, you're having to whip people to stop you being
investigated. That's true. Yeah.
If you have to whip, that should have been a free vote. And he should have said, look, I'll stand on my record. I've either committed a crime or committed the offence I've been accused of, or I haven't, and I'll prove myself in the court of public opinion. But the problem is he whipped his MPs. From that second, he was doomed. You can never force people to vote for you. But the thing that got me the most was Labour MPs standing up and saying, what you did was wrong. You did mislead Parliament, but I'm not going to vote against the resolution. Well, that shows there's no moral spine of Labour MPs.
Well, so more breaking news. This I love it when we do these and it's all happening. Apparently, Downing Street have ordered takeaways as Sir Keir battles to save his premiership, Jed. So apparently the chicken curries, the vindaloos or whatever, are being sent in emergency vindaloos in Downing Street.
It's a curry. Yeah, and what's the English most popular English dish? It's chicken masala, isn't it?
Yeah.
Chicken tikka masala. So they'll get some of them in. They'll fill it down with the working class. Why? Because they're sat at their desk, not sausages. No, we're getting comments here. It's sausages. I love sausages.
Release the sausages. You remember that was one of the strange things
sausages,
that he said. Release the sausages. He meant to say hostages, but he couldn't get it right. Yeah. Apparently,
again. Let's get the takeaway in because we're down with the working class. We're rolling up our sleeves. Yeah, and we're things on the back of a fag packet.
Now, it's also being said, as we are live, that now over 80 Labour MPs have signed Catherine West's letter calling for Stormer to set out a timetable for his departure. Now, if it's from 81 on, but even from 80, it's the end. I forecast we'll wake up tomorrow morning and the news will all be about, I bet you the lectern, the lectern, Jed, they bring out.
We'll be outside number 10.
Yeah, and Larry, the Downing Street cat, will have to be sitting there waiting on the master, Stormer, to come out and make, because he's done. I mean, I think one of the best memes I saw today was a picture of a, sort of toast with Stormer's face on it, because he is toast, and there's no way. I don't think there's any way that you come back from this, and he has no. He's no way back.
No, I don't think there is. But I'm just reading here. Channel 4 News. Oh God, feel sick. Just saying the words. Channel 4 News.
Yeah, you shouldn't watch that.
22 minutes. Oh God, no, I feel sick again. 22 minutes ago, 3 Labour aides quit.
Yes, that's right.
Please demand Starmer's resignation. If he's still here this time tomorrow, or at least it hasn't been announced, we've got John saying the last he heard was 53. I've got reports here 60 plus from Channel 4 News.
I'll give you the most up to date. It's 68 confirmed. 68 confirmed. When Jed and I went live at 8, it was 68. So it's way up. It's way up, John. It's going to cross the barrier. And then, see, Jed, what happens when it, like, I mean, 81 is a high bar to pass, to trigger this.
Mhm.
But if you've got 81, that's about a third of all your party against you. You're
Yeah.
hated by your own
But
party.
notice what Labour have done. They have set the bar extremely high.
Yeah,
But
that's right.
the other
Yeah,
parties have not. Yeah. To
no,
avoid what we saw with the Conservative Party,
exactly.
every week there was a new leader. Yeah.
That's exactly right.
So,
Yeah.
so that's what they've done. But because they also thought, well, we get our man in, whatever that man or woman may be, and they'll be in, and we'll. Because I think what Labour are trying to do when they first got in, they thought we'll have a firestorm. We're in for 5 years. We know we'll be out at the end of it. Sod it. Let's just spend.
Yeah.
Let's throw everything at all the illegals and so on and so forth, and all the benefits. I mean, the benefit is just unbelievable. The money we're spending and the money we will spend technically by the end of this parliament.
Well, yeah,
Every single year. Money we don't have.
Well, I don't know if you saw this one. I picked it up and I put it out.
Is this on your feed?
I think I put it on my Facebook actually. Just for laughs. Occasionally, I put So, did you know, Jed, a historical test, bigamy, having more than one wife?
Oh, I saw that one.
It's been illegal since 1861. So the Department of Work and Pensions have increased benefits.
Right.
Yeah, well, there you go. But that's the truth. For if you have 2 or 3 wives, and all I would say, Jed, I don't know what your thoughts on this would be, and particularly if your wife is listening, but anyone who's got 2 or 3 wives maybe needs the extra benefits to cope with the stress.
There's only one community that tends to do that, David.
Well, there is.
Exactly.
Exactly. And that's the thing. There's so many British people need help, and seriously now, in so many areas. And what's this rotten government doing? It's basically slipping a bung to the particular community you mentioned, which, let's face it, is...
The votes. It's a vote catcher, isn't it?
Yeah, but...
it's like a dream catcher. They're using our taxpayers' money as a vote catcher.
Yeah.
I got that from John.
But here's the thing, and at the start we really should have, I suppose, said this. Labour's being consumed by reform from the right and the Greens from the left, Jed.
Yeah.
And I honestly don't think there's any way out. Just like reform has consumed the Conservatives pretty much from the right,
Yeah.
The core uni party, and like the Lib Dems are uni party too, but they're kind of irrelevant. Tories and Labour are being consumed in a way which is really interesting, because maybe it does get Britain
to the point in some areas where a Labour MP loses his deposit completely.
Yeah,
and the Labour Party start to lose its deposit as a collective. The same with the Tories.
Although I see Northern Solism is saying here, we're going to have the world's first trans PM, Kiera Starmer. No relation. Yeah, well, that might be one thing. I mean, maybe he tried to do a gender swap for tomorrow morning. But even then, he's doomed. Like this is the end. And Jed, if we could go back in time to July the end of the first week in July in 24, if you'd have said to me, David, in less than 2 years, this guy's going to be thrown out of Downing Street, his party's going to be destroyed, I don't think I would have believed you. What do you think, looking back on it?
Well, I think from the outset, I'm trying to think back what I said at the time, and if somebody can prove me wrong, then prove me wrong. I don't mind. But I always thought, and I'm sure we've had this discussion last year, where I said we were talking 2026 for a general election, and that was on the first half a dozen U-turns. Now we're well into double figures.
I want to just read out David. You've just bring up David.
I'll bring it up.
Comment. Paul Gascoigne, folks, has been sighted approaching Downing Street with supplies of beer, pizza, and a fishing rod. Yeah. I mean, this is the thing. I also saw someone put up a great meme there, and you know the meme of the dog sitting at the table, and if everything's gone on fire all around, and this is fine. So I see someone had morphed in Keir Starmer sitting at a table, and everything's on fire, going, this is fine, and it's not
Yeah,
fine.
yeah,
You know?
yeah.
So
No,
yeah, well,
And
yeah.
to be honest, as soon as he started doing the U-turns, I think the days were numbered. As soon as he started spending money on the welfare was the first one. They came in screaming and screaming about welfare, didn't they? They would reform it and it would be fairer and better. And then the Labour MPs revolted.
But see, John's saying he really is, Starmer really believes that getting closer to the EU will save him because his party's obviously a bunch of Europhiles. But it's more basic than that. He's just not likable. He's not likable. He can't relate. He doesn't have human empathy, Jed. He can't just talk like normal people. I mean, that's my thing about Angela Rayner. She'll be a disaster, right? But she can talk like normal people. But I want to finish.
Like people do.
Well, she is like she's
song.
Yeah, I know. But here's the thing. That you talk about 2026 as the general election. I don't think so will be. But I do think, and this is where I think Nigel Farage is probably right as well. He has talked about potentially 2027 next year.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is, however this works out, Jed, whether it's Andy Burnham and Angela Rayner, if it's that combo, or Wes Streeting and Angela, whatever it is, this country's going to get, things will get worse before they get better. And I think Nigel has frequently talked about there being an economic crisis which would trigger the general election. And I do think that's true. I listened to Angela Rayner's speech, or I read it anyway, earlier today. And Jed, she's talking about, that was, see that, have a look. I stuck that up back in the days when X didn't completely throttle me, by the way. And I got over 7 million views. See that? But isn't that Britain in 2 images, Jed? Like,
no, you're right. It is, and it shows the fall of Britain in
yeah, it does, sadly. Yeah. But I think that a financial storm, which would be something that if Labour will go hard left, Jed, they're going to go left. They're going to pivot even further left. And I reckon that could do the very thing Nigel Farage has talked about, namely create a storm. I mean, if you look at the 10, 30-year gilt rate, it's already outrageously bad, and it could get worse. So, I'm not sure that Labour will last until 2029, even under a new leader. What do you think?
No, I don't think they will.
No.
The EU, they keep talking about closer alignment with them. What they really mean is they want to go back in.
Yeah.
But they can't say they want to go back in.
No.
But the thing is, they want to attach themselves to an economy that its average growth rate is 0.02%.
I know.
Which is actually worse than our rate.
Yeah.
So they're talking this will be an economic benefit for us. It won't. It will drain them because we'll have to pay for the accesses or the access that we want for the various elements of it. So, and yet the rest of the world, you look at the US, the US is booming.
Oh, I know.
Why?
Yeah.
Because you got energy, they're self-sufficient on energy, and the drill, baby.
And job creations going through the roof. I mean, a lot of stuff going well over there, but no. Here it's going to go from bad to worse. I think we're going to have to, but I don't think it's going to go. It will last for the whole parliamentary period. I can't believe that it will. But who can tell? We'll see what tomorrow brings. Whether Starmer does have to come.
Well, if tomorrow never comes. Sorry.
Well, I think tomorrow may never come, but tomorrow it might just come for Keir Starmer because this whole thing.
If it's not tomorrow, what day is it today? It's Monday. If it's not here, it'll be by PMQs.
Well, of course, there is no.
In fact, there is none, is there?
No, because the King's speech.
Parliament.
The King's speech is on Wednesday. So I saw somebody saying, "Well,
imagine the King's speech and he literally ripping it up as he's saying it. Because Starmer's gone."
Yep, absolutely right. I mean, it's so embarrassing. It's so cringe, and Starmer tried to do. He deliberately engineered this to try and keep this leadership challenge from not happening because of the sheer embarrassment. But he got it wrong because his own people want rid of him. The only sycophants that are still hanging on saying, "Oh, please, Sir Keir, please stay," or people like Steve Reed and a couple of other sort of Stormer nobody's really, who owe all that they have to Stormer, and so they'll continue. They'll be like, you know, the a few of the sort of senior Nazis in the bunker that did stick with Hitler to the end. Yeah. They'll be like them,
all with the cyanide capsules ready to take.
Well, the political cyanide's already been taken. And other final thing I wanted to say. It was interesting, Jed, during a speech today, at no point did he mention probably the single biggest issue in the elections we've just had, and that is immigration. He never even talked about it. But
this is the point. They are tone deaf at what the country is saying.
Yeah.
They've got their plan, they've got their ideology, and that's what they're going for. There is no listening to the British public to say, what are they telling us? Well, listen. And they say, oh, we're listening to the public. Oh, that vote, we listened. And then what it means is they want more EU, they want more immigration. No, we're saying the exact opposite.
But, you know, but all of this, you know, you can talk about it in kind of highfalutin political language and all of that, but it also comes down to, you know, simple things. And I put this up on my X feed earlier today. I was talking to a lady a couple of days ago, and Jed, this is the final thing I want to talk about. And she, I hadn't seen her in a wee while, and she was telling me that she got diagnosed with cancer in one of her breasts, and back at the start of the year. And so she, her mum had to have a double vasectomy, and you know, and died from cancer, right? And so she's a lady in her, let's say, 50s, and she had a positive confirmation of cancer, and back at the start of the year, and then twice this year, when she was trying to be sort of getting the operation, it was cancelled. And the operations on both occasions were cancelled because, well, sorry, there's no beds. Just no beds. We're too busy. And she is now in the real life scenario of real concern. She has a medical background. She understands that, you know, if it's not dealt with, then the cancer could spread. And, you know, she's got kids and stuff like that. I'm just trying to keep it as vague as possible. But this is what annoys me, and it brings me back to the immigration thing. The reason the bloody hospital beds are stacked with other people, and that someone in this condition can't get treatment straight away, is because of a failure of successive British governments to deal with the single biggest issue that faces us. We're busting at the, you know, Jed, we're creaking at the seams. The hospitals, the schools, all of it. And Stormer didn't even mention the thing, and that's what enraged me, you know.
No, I get it, because they say they're an economic benefit. They're not. They take the GDP up because there are more people. It does. Right. It actually makes you worse off, because the GDP per person drops. You know, if I had £1,000 and I had 1,000 people, then they've all got £1 each. But if I make it 2,000, they got 50p each. Make it 4,000, they've got 25p each.
GDP goes down.
GDP goes down. But they're looking at it, well, we've got more people, so we've got more money. We haven't, because we've got more people taking more money, not bringing more money, not earning more money. Yep. You know, and the point, the thing with government is it doesn't have, and we've said it so many times, it doesn't have any money of its own. And a socialist government has no money at all, not even our money, because they've already spent it.
They have, and ultimately it's just ordinary people that pay, Jed. You know, like this lady I'm talking about. You know, she could pay, I suppose, with her life if things are not sorted out, and that's the reality. And I don't even care who the government is if they were dealing with things like that properly. You know, so if you've got something like cancer, you sort it out. You know, or if you're a young person, you can get a job. These are just, you know, this is the stuff of everyday life. It's not fine philosophy. It's everyday life. And Labour totally don't get that. Stormer totally doesn't get that.
No, well, one of Reeves's policies that's due to kick in, I think, in the next 3 days, he's literally going to see 163,000 people out of work. And they talk about job creation. You know, they talk about putting up the minimum wage.
Yeah.
And that, if I was employing someone, they go, Christ, I'm not going to take anybody on. Why? Because not only do I have to pay them that much, they also get every single right from day one. So they could turn up, be absolutely crap at the job, and I can't get rid of them.
No,
so I'm not going to take them on.
No, and that's why, Jed, the UK is about 1 million young, I think it's 900,000 young people that, you know, can't get a job. So it's all very well for Starmer and Labour to talk about we've put up the minimum wage. Yeah, but there's no job. There's no jobs for the people. Do you know what I mean?
But it's also about the rent, you know, for private landlords. Who owns that building? The landlord. And they're now forcing him to put people in or have people in that he cannot get rid of. Even if he wanted, he can't get rid of them because there has to be a false eviction.
Exactly, yeah. So if you're a landlord, what are you going to do? You're going to sell your property. There's going to be, it's the same as Scott.
I think since that came in, there's been a 15% drop in London.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Rental properties.
Yeah, rental properties.
Landlords sold out or sold up before the law came in.
Yeah, sell the asset because you're going to be so crucified by Labour on it, you know. And that's why actually, although they can change the deck chairs and they can get Stormer out and put in Streeting or whoever it is, you know, these socialist policies are doomed to fail. There's no way they can never succeed.
Just remember my old saying, because I know we're coming well over.
We're past it.
My old saying is, remember, taxation is theft. Taking money by force is theft, and that's exactly what HMRC do. Because if you don't pay, they will lock you up. So
I know that's why this country needs a complete change. But on the positive note, I look back in Thursday's elections. I'm delighted that Reform did well. I'm pleased that Rupert Lowe did well down in Great Yarmouth. I'm horrified that people vote for the Greens, Jed. I'm going to put more stuff.
That's how you can vote for the Greens.
Once you dig into some of their elected councillors, it's like it's unbelievable stuff, you know. And I don't know if you saw, but
Muslims vote for them when they're LBGTWXYZ.
I know. Well, it is, yes. But that's what's destroying Labour as well, because they would have previously historically voted for Labour. So there's no way out of this one. You know, in the old days, Jed, what would have happened to Stormer is here's what would happen. He would have been sitting in his study, and you'd go in the old days, and you'd put down a glass of whiskey and give him a revolver, and you just walk silently out because he would know what to do. But this guy, Jed, was more likely he would shoot the person who gave him the whiskey.
Yeah. Well, I thought you were going to give him a fountain pen, a piece of embossed notepaper, a glass of whiskey, and a gun, so he could write his final confession and then take the drink and do the honourable thing.
Well, look, on that cheerful image, we'll bring it. We'll bring it to an end, and who knows what tomorrow morning will bring, folks. But if you tune into my podcast tomorrow, we'll be covering it. If you tune into my Substacks, we'll be covering it there. If you like it on X, we'll be covering it there as well. I think we're going through tumultuous times, which is great because, as Jed and I have ably demonstrated tonight, there's just so much to talk about and not enough time. But listen, from Jed and myself, can I wish you all, thank you all very much for being with us this evening at this particular momentous point in our history. And I'll catch you again tomorrow. But that's it. Good night.
Good night.